So there's this part of the church that I never knew existed until yesterday. I was walking along the parking lot, and out by the ridge line, there's this little incline that goes down the hill. So incline down the hill, so it's at like an angle, and you can only see it in the winter when everything's dead and kind of to the ground. There's not a whole lot of growth. And when you look at it at just the right angle, it's actually a road that goes down to this gate. And the gate in the spring and summer is covered up by kudzu and trees and plants. But you can see the gate when you're walking down in kind of the dead of winter. And there's like trees growing through it so the gate doesn't close or doesn't open. And if you follow this road, it goes back up underneath the church a little bit. So at some point, you're looking up at the church, and the church is almost on top of you. It's really cool. And I was told that back in the day, when Vestavia was kind of this up and coming community, the church went from a septic system to city water. And so they had to put these pipes into the ground, and they made this road that went, kind of under the church a little bit to set up a sewer line. And it was really cool, and you really only notice it in the winter when everything, like I said earlier, is kind of dead and kind of brought down to ground level. And I was reading in the Psalms this morning, specifically Psalm 139, that says over and over, "Search me and know me," to God to feel out my anxious thoughts, for God to know when I sit and when I rise that God is there with us. And so that road, that part of the church, is usually not there until everything is kind of knocked out of the way. And I was thinking about this as an illustration, like what would it take for you to knock all of that stuff down in your life? That growth in your soul, the stuff that we build up, the anxiousness, the fear, the guilt, the shame, and all that growth. What would it mean to just say to let all of that go? And to put that guard down, to put those walls down. And you have this road in your soul that is like an open gate. And you say, "You know what, God? Search me and know me." And we talked last week about being known. And part of being known is being loved. And so often we don't allow ourselves to be loved or to be known because we put up all of this growth, all of this mess, these walls of shame and guilt and pride and success and fear and pursuits of things that don't last. My challenge for you this week is to let that stuff, to tear away that stuff to where there's a path, there's a road to get to the meat of who you are, to allow God in and for God to search and to know that that vulnerability does not come back in vain, that God does not use that vulnerability against you, but uses that as a beautiful way to tell your life story in a way that glorifies God and makes you a vessel of good news, a messenger of good news to people, that these things that don't control us, these pursuits, these things that grow over our soul don't control us. Yet when we let those things grow and we let those things die down, that God comes in and God searches and God knows. And when God knows us, we know that we are loved and cared for. So start tearing those things down. And I mean, don't throw opportunities away. Don't throw, the gifts that you've been given away. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. What I'm saying is to not let those things rule you, not let those things define you. Those things aren't who you are. God defines who you are because it is God who made you. And God made you good and loved and cared for and cherished. And I say this every week because it's true, right? So begin to tear those things down. If you are an athlete, be the best athlete that you can be, but don't be defined by being an athlete. Or don't be defined by your brains. Don't be defined by your looks. Don't be defined by things that just don't last. Well, that's just stuff is just overgrowth of your soul. Tear it away. Let God in. And your life will be better because of it. And that's a promise. Y'all are loved. Y'all are cared for. See y'all soon.